July 2014. A young German man walks into an airport in Bulgaria. He's alone. Minutes later, he runs out of the building and disappears into the woods. His name was Lars Mittank, 28 years old, healthy, calm, ordinary. But something had changed. He said someone was after him. He called his mother, whispering, "They want to kill me." Then he ran and was never seen again. This is the mystery of Lars Mittank, the man who ran out of the airport and vanished. Lars Mittank was 28 years old, a tall, blond man from the small German town of Itzehoe. Quiet, friendly, practical. He loved football, road trips, and late-night conversations with his mother Sandra. He was not a thrill-seeker. He was the kind of person who kept life organized. Simple job, loyal friends, predictable routines. In June of 2014, Lars decided to take a short vacation. Nothing dramatic, just a summer trip with his closest friends. Destination: Bulgaria, the Black Sea coast. Golden Sands, a resort known for cheap beer, loud music, and endless parties. For Lars, it was a chance to unwind. He hadn't taken a proper vacation in years. He was healthy, happy, grounded. At least, that's what everyone thought. The first few days were perfect. Sun, laughter, beach volleyball. He texted his mom every evening, small updates about the trip, jokes about the food. He sent pictures. He seemed completely normal. But as the week went on, something began to shift. His friends noticed he was quieter. He drank less. He sometimes looked over his shoulder, as if distracted by something no one else could see. Then came the night of the fight. A small argument at a bar turned violent. A group of men, locals, maybe football fans, clashed with Lars and his friends. Shouts, glass breaking. One punch caught Lars near the ear. The fight ended quickly, but the damage was done. The next morning, his ear hurt. It rang constantly. He complained of dizziness. At a local clinic, a doctor diagnosed him with a ruptured eardrum and prescribed antibiotics, cephalexin. The doctor told him it was nothing serious, but he should avoid flying for a few days. Lars didn't seem relieved. He seemed worried. He told his friends he didn't want to stay in Bulgaria any longer. He said he felt unsafe, that the men from the fight were watching him, that they might come for him. His friends were confused. They told him he was overreacting, that no one even knew their hotel. But Lars wouldn't calm down. He became restless, constantly checking windows, lowering his voice during conversations. A carefree tourist was gone. That night, Lars refused to go out. He sat alone on the hotel balcony, staring at the dark sea. When one of his friends asked if he was okay, he said softly, "I don't know. Something's not right." Around midnight, he packed his things. When his friends woke up the next morning, he was gone. He had left the hotel during the night, without a word. No note. No message. Just silence. A few hours later, Sandra, his mother, received a call. It was Lars. He said he'd found another hotel near the airport in Varna. He sounded nervous. His voice trembled. He said, "Mom, I think people are following me." She tried to calm him down. "Lars, you're safe. Go to the airport and come home." He paused. "I can't," he whispered. "They're outside." Those words were the first real sign that something had gone terribly wrong. That evening, guests at the cheap hotel reported hearing footsteps in the hallway. Doors opening and closing. A man pacing for hours. When the receptionist checked in the morning, Lars was still awake, pale, tired, and wide-eyed. He called his mother again. "Cancel my credit cards," he said. "Someone's trying to get me." Sandra didn't understand. He'd never been paranoid before. He didn't use drugs. He didn't even drink much. She asked what happened. He just said, "I'll tell you later. I just need to come home." The call ended abruptly. He said he'd call from the airport. He never would again. At dawn, Lars packed his bag and left the hotel. He paid the bill, thanked the staff, and walked toward Varna Airport. He was calm, focused, no sign of panic. But inside that calm was something else, something waiting to explode. That morning, surveillance cameras captured him entering the airport terminal. Backpack on one shoulder, head down, the last normal moment of his life. Morning light filters through the airport glass. Travelers roll their suitcases across the polished floor. Everything looks normal. But at 9 a.m., Lars Mittank walks in, and nothing about him is normal anymore. He's wearing a yellow t-shirt, jeans, sneakers. His backpack is small, almost empty. He moves quickly, avoiding eye contact. Security cameras catch him glancing over his shoulder, again and again. He heads to the airport medical clinic, hoping to get clearance to fly home. His ear still hurts. The doctor on duty examines him. The injury is minor. He's cleared to fly. Then, according to the doctor, a man entered the room. Another staff member, maybe an assistant. The moment Lars saw him, everything changed. His body tensed. His breathing quickened. He whispered, "I don't want to die here." Seconds later, he jumped off the examination table, ran out of the room, and bolted through the terminal. He left everything behind: his passport, wallet, phone charger, luggage. All of it. Security footage shows him sprinting through the airport, pushing past passengers. He runs through the automatic doors and out into the open. He doesn't stop. He crosses the parking lot. Then he climbs a 2-meter fence and disappears into the tall grass beyond. Time, 11:23 a.m. Temperature, 32 degrees Celsius. Bright, open daylight. And yet, in a few seconds, Lars Mittank vanished. Airport staff were stunned. The doctor immediately called police. Officers arrived within minutes, searching the surrounding fields. They found his backpack in the clinic. Inside, his wallet, passport, phone, and all his belongings. Everything except the fear that drove him away. Outside, witnesses saw a blond man running toward the forest. No shoes, no direction, no reason. That image, a single man running through the summer heat, would become one of Europe's most haunting mysteries. Police searched the fields that afternoon. Dozens of officers spread out in lines, shouting his name. Dogs picked up a scent leading toward a small wooded area north of the airport. Then it stopped. The scent didn't fade. It just ended. No footprints. No torn clothing. Nothing. As if Lars had been swallowed by the landscape. Local villagers said they saw someone matching his description walking along the road that day. Barefoot, looking disoriented but not injured. When asked if they approached him, they said no. He looked dangerous or frightened, maybe both. Sandra, his mother, arrived the next day. She met with local authorities, translators, and journalists. They showed her the airport footage. Her son running, barefoot, into nowhere. She cried, but she didn't understand. "He wasn't like that," she said. "He wasn't crazy." Search teams combed nearby farms and forests for days. Helicopters scanned the area from above. Heat sensors detected nothing. Police drained ditches and checked old wells. Still nothing. Days turned into weeks. Then silence. No body, no clue. Just a question left hanging in the air. Why did Lars run? Experts began analyzing the case. Psychologists, doctors, and investigators each had a theory. Some believed Lars suffered from an acute psychotic episode, sudden, unpredictable, and violent. It can happen after trauma, sleep deprivation, or stress. The antibiotic he was taking, cephalexin, is known to cause rare side effects, hallucinations, anxiety, confusion. But none of his behavior before the trip hinted at mental illness. Others believed he was truly being followed, perhaps by the men he'd fought earlier in the week. Maybe he saw one of them at the airport clinic and panicked. Maybe that's who he thought the unknown man was. The problem is, no one can confirm who entered that room. The doctor said it was just a random worker. But there's no camera inside the clinic. No footage to prove or disprove his story. And so the mystery deepens. Was it paranoia or proof of danger? The human mind, when pushed to the edge, can't always tell the difference. And when fear becomes the only thing that feels real, logic disappears faster than a person running through tall grass. The forest behind Varna Airport is dense, hot, and silent. Tall pines and thick brush stretch for kilometers. It's easy to get lost there. It's even easier to disappear. Search teams returned repeatedly over the next months. Local hunters, police, volunteers. They covered the same ground over and over. No tracks. No clothing, no remains. A few locals claimed to have seen someone living off the land. A man who matched Lars's description. Thin, blonde, dirty, barefoot. Always near the forest edge. Always gone when they returned. None of those sightings were confirmed. But the stories kept hope alive. Sandra refused to give up. She returned every year to the same places, handing out flyers. Have you seen my son? Most people just shook their heads. Some took the flyer silently, unwilling to look her in the eye. The forest had swallowed too many things. Voices, secrets, and maybe one young man who ran too far. Sandra Mittank became a name in the world of missing persons. A mother searching alone in a foreign country. She learned basic Bulgarian to speak with locals. She met every officer who had ever handled the case. She retraced every step Lars had taken. At the airport, she stood at the same spot where he ran. She looked at the fence. She imagined him jumping over it. She whispered, "Why, Lars?" She kept contact with Interpol and German police. She even hired private detectives. One of them claimed Lars might be alive, living under a new identity, but no proof ever came. Years later, she told a reporter, "I still dream of him walking through that door. He'll smile and say, 'Mom, it's over,' and I'll know it's true." Some nights, she replays the airport footage on her phone, not to torture herself, but to remember that her son existed, that he was real, that the story isn't over. In 2015, the case exploded online. The CCTV footage became viral on YouTube. Millions watched it, frame by frame. True crime fans, psychologists, and conspiracy theorists all joined in. Some said he was a victim of human trafficking. Others claimed secret experiments or military involvement. Many believed the antibiotic caused hallucinations, but no one had proof. Reddit threads grew longer than police reports. People mapped the area, tracked satellite images, even claimed to have found him in random street photos. None of it was real. In the digital age, mystery never dies. It mutates. Every theory becomes content. Every question becomes a headline. But truth doesn't trend. Sandra once said she stopped reading the forums. "They make him a ghost," she said. "But he's my son. He's not a story." Professional investigators offered a colder clinical view. They saw patterns: stress, fatigue, heat, fear. A man under extreme psychological pressure. He was injured, alone, and possibly suffering from antibiotic side effects. His sense of reality was collapsing. His flight response took over. To some experts, his disappearance was a tragic accident, a man lost in panic who succumbed to the elements. To others, it was more sinister. A crime carefully hidden behind coincidence. A few suggested he might have encountered someone in the fields. A driver, a stranger, maybe even someone he trusted. Someone who offered help and then harm. But without a body, every theory floats in air. And in true crime, air is the most dangerous evidence of all. It has been more than 10 years. No confirmed sightings. No new leads, just silence. In 2019, a man resembling Lars was spotted at a homeless shelter in Dresden. Sandra flew there. It wasn't him. Other calls came in from Canada, Poland, even Brazil. Each time, hope rose and fell like a wave. Each time, the answer was the same. The forest near Varna has grown wilder since then. The airport expanded. New travelers walk the same halls he once crossed. Few know the story of the man who ran out and never came back. But some locals remember. When the wind blows through the grass, they say it sounds like running footsteps. The case of Lars Mittank remains open. No closure. No grave. Just a video and a mystery frozen in time. He wasn't a criminal. He wasn't famous. He was just a man who wanted to go home. His story haunts because it feels possible. Because it could happen to anyone. A moment of confusion. A spark of fear. And then, gone. Sandra still waits. Every year she posts the same message online. If you see him, tell him I love him. Tell him he's not in trouble. Tell him to come home. Sometimes fear doesn't need proof. Sometimes it only needs a heartbeat. Lars ran. Maybe from danger. Maybe from his own mind. Either way, the truth ran with him. Into the grass. Into the forest. And it never came back.